But yeah, let's celebrate another FA Cup victory that's really worth mentioning, really, and that's Coventry City. Championship Coventry City just missed out on promotion to the Premier League last year. Had their own changes of personnel and challenges this year. They didn't have a great start to this season after all. And there's many clubs that would have sacked the manager after the Christmas period, really, the way they were going. They're climbing the league again. They're now in the FA Cup semi-final after beating in-form Wolves of the Premier League. That's crazy, isn't it? Before we sort of talk about the match, let's just shed some light on how big an achievement that is for them to be performing still this well in cup competitions. Mark Robins' record has been brilliant with them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. And actually, I think there was a stat a few years going around about Coventry before that their fans were probably like the least happy fans in the country because it'd been so long since they'd had any sort of cup success or even league promotions. They'd really struggled for it. They found themselves down in League Two. They're having these stadium issues where they ended up in Northampton, they ended up in Birmingham for a little while, and it felt like a mess. But quietly they've gone about building something really strong, and they were one game away from being promoted to the Premier League last year. They're now, I think they're 4 points off Norwich in sixth with a game in hand, so they could make another charge for the playoffs now. It's perfectly feasible, and they're in an FA Cup semi-final against Man United. It's fantastic, and that all comes from good management, actually, which isn't necessarily something that the Coventry would have expected, because the decisions they've made recently have been really effective. They obviously lost two of their key players in the summer, in Gustavo Hamer and Gyökeres going over to Sporting Lisbon. And they spent the money, don't get me wrong. I was talking to Dave actually earlier, who did a video for us a while ago. He's a Coventry City fan, a good friend of ours. And he was saying that the expectation is high for Coventry this year because of the amount of money they've spent. But I'm not sure any of them would have expected this. It's a fantastic result. And there's some talented players in that squad that will give United a good game, I think.
Including, obviously, Ellis Sims, who played out his skin in this game and actually does play for Coventry City, despite some other pundits saying that he's on loan, which is a load of rubbish. He had a great game, didn't he? He could have had more, I would say. He probably disappointed that he didn't score more.
Maybe, yeah, but I think at this level you just got to take this as an incredible game for him. Yeah, he would have loved a match ball, but he's fired his team into a semi-final against Man United, and considering where he was at the end of last season, this has to feel like progress. It feels like a really smart buy from Coventry. It was always going to be hard to replace Gyökeres, but Sims had so much potential, showed it at Sunderland last year on loan, and then kind of struggled to find his feet in an Everton side that were really struggling. And now all of a sudden he's an FA Cup hero, and he's not the only one. There's some really talented players there. Haji Wright looks fantastic. I saw Callum O'Hare close up at Villa, and he's been an excellent servant to Coventry as well. There's some really talented players in that team that I would be quite excited to see in the Premier League, and I definitely think United might struggle against some of them.
Well, I think I was going into this quarter-final almost thinking that with Wolves' form, this would be relatively easy for them. But Coventry made it anything but. I mean, what was it? 24 shots and 12 of them were on target, which is a big statistic against a team like Wolves. You know, they've lost a lot of forward players, not defenders. So it shouldn't have been this one-sided, really, because Coventry sometimes made it look like it was all about them. So the result was definitely justified. It took 100 minutes to finalise the game, which is ridiculous, isn't it, when you think about it? But yeah, I think you're right. I think the semi-final, again, is not a foregone conclusion, especially the way United can be and how unpredictable they are.
Yeah, and we just talked about how United was successful against Liverpool because there was so much space for them to counter into. Well, Coventry aren't going to give them that, are they? They'll pay enough respect to Premier League opposition to do their due diligence and not open themselves up like that. They probably will sit deeper than we expected Liverpool to. So that kind of plays into their hands. Almost being more defensive against Man United seems like the answer, because they will struggle to break them down otherwise. And when they've got players like Callum O'Hare or like Haji Wright who can unpick that final ball and kind of cause that chaos in the final third, I don't know how much I trust Man United to see that through as easily as they think they will. So, yeah, we could be talking about Coventry in the FA Cup final, which feels mental to say, but an all sky blue final wouldn't suit you very well, would it, mate?